Hi. I know I promised a series of Tech Writing 101 videos, but it feels so insignificant right now. The worldwide protests that have erupted in response to George Floyd's horrific murder have given rise to a lot of conversations about racism in every aspect of life. And the conversations made me think about how I and my field, that is tech writing, contribute to the problem and how I can be part of the solution instead. Here's what I've learned. Writer's unconscious bias. Before we talk about tech writing, we need to talk about the writer. In my case, that's me. I genuinely believe that I'm not a racist. After all, I am a brown immigrant woman in tech. I face racial microaggressions and discrimination on a regular basis. How can I discriminate against anybody else? But this week has been a painful realization of the benefits I get from my proximity to white privilege. Being an educated, financially secure person in New York City gives me tremendous privilege. I admit that it's earned privilege and not inherited privilege, but it is still privilege. Add to that the deep-rooted antagonism towards darker skin in Indian communities, even some of my family, and it makes me part of the problem. I will link to a post that describes this in more detail than I can, but the bias does exist. And it does not manifest itself consciously, but it does manifest unconsciously. Audience analysis and user research. Knowing my audience is critically important to me as a tech writer. I do a detailed analysis of a user, I fill out audience analysis worksheets, I do user research, and yet when I'm writing a docs, I'm realizing that I'm unconsciously writing for the straight white man, like the straight white educated privileged man who has gone to a really good college, has got an education, and is now working at a really good position in tech. Why is that my default mental model for our users? This is a particularly painful realization for me because I write the security docs for CockroachDB, and the content I consume about security is from Black technologists on Twitter. So my input is the awesome content that Black people in tech make, but I'm unconsciously still writing for the white man. And since this realization, I have been consciously trying to change my mental model of our ideal user, and it seems like it should be very easy to do, but it's really not. This bias is deeply ingrained in my conscious, and it reflects in my sentence structures and the word choices I make, and it is important to critically think about the word choices because words matter. This week, I learned that I use discriminatory language in my document and I don't even realize it. An example of this is the use of the terms blacklist and whitelist. Why do I use these terms and not even think about it? Why do I use them when I can just as easily use their alternatives, Allowlist and Blocklist, which are more clearer anyway? I saw a debate on Twitter about how these words are not really racist because their origins are not racist. Then I saw this article about how these terms are racist in their origin. But to be honest, I don't think it matters what the origins of the words are. What matters is the context in which they are read. As Rich Bowen said on Twitter, imagine if you could make a change in your software that made one Black developer feel more welcome and inconvenienced nobody. Wouldn't that be worth it? I guess what I'm trying to say with this video is that I'm sorry. I now know that not being racist is not enough. I need to be actively anti-racist. And that begins with examining my own biases and learning and educating myself on how to be a more consistent ally and taking any and all actions towards fighting systemic racism. It doesn't matter if the actions are small and insignificant. It only matters that we take them because Black lives matter.